Guys, welcome back to the Welsh Beast YouTube channel. Now, to quote William Shakespeare, there's no easy way out, there's no shortcut home. It's the eye of the tiger, it's the thrill of the fight. Wrexham have lost 5-3 at home to MK Dons in their first game back in the Football League after 15 years. It was a disappointing performance and obviously a disappointing scoreline. So I just want to give my reaction to this result and to the match itself. But before I do, you may have noticed that we have some new social media artwork and branding on the channel. We've had some artwork and branding done for our social media accounts. So I just want to give a shout out to Northology Design from Wrexham. Sarah at Northology Design has worked hard with me. She's been very helpful in creating the new branding and the new artwork. I'm really pleased with it. It looks fantastic. So I just want to say thank you to Sarah at Northology Design in Wrexham. If you want graphic design done, any branding, any logos, any type of graphic design, etc., just give Northology Design a shout out. You know, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm not getting a discount. I just like to give people a shout out to do me favours and help me out. So Northology Design Wrexham. Give them a shout if you need some graphic design. Yes, Wrexham have lost 5-3 at home against MK Dons. Very disappointing. It's a deserved defeat. I don't think anyone can complain about the result. In fact, I think 5-3 flatters Wrexham. That they really deserve 3 goals. They were second best throughout. They were never really in the game. They were always chasing it. You know, it wasn't an 8-goal thriller. An 8-goal thriller suggests it ebbed, it flowed, it was back and forth, and you never quite knew which team was going to win. MK Dons were always in control. They were 2-0 up after 10 minutes, and Wrexham never really fought back. They never really responded. Wrexham's best spell of the match was after, 80 minutes. The last 10 minutes, the last 17 minutes, whatever, including stoppage time, they didn't really dominate until the last 10 minutes or so when Jordan Davis scored. Until then, they'd had their moments, but they were never really in the game. When Mendy made it 2-1 at half-time, that was the chance. That's the goal Wrexham needed. And it set it up then. It set up the opportunity for the second half for Wrexham to really take control and to respond like they did last season on many occasions. Last season, you always felt if they were losing at half-time, certainly only by 1 goal, they were going to come back and probably win. Halifax, I think, was one. Boreham Wood was one when they won the league. You always knew if Wrexham went behind, they'd respond. And that response didn't come today. They started the second half well, but it fizzled out very quickly. And once MK Dons scored that 3rd goal, that killed the game off. Effectively, that was it. That was it. Wrexham did nothing then for a good 30 minutes or so. Until the last 10 minutes. When Jordan Davis scored, that's when Wrexham seemed to really take over. And it looked like they might grab something. They were having a lot of half chances. But throughout the game, they were really second best. They were slow. They allowed MK Dons to play their game. MK Dons were very efficient. They were very clinical. They were very capable without being spectacular. There was something spectacular about them. They just took their chances. When they got in, they scored. That 5th goal, though, was a disgrace. The 5th goal by MK Dons was disgusting to watch. He had it far too easy. he was able to walk through the Wrexham team and just slot it in. Foster didn't move. He was completely wrong-footed. He was rooted to the spot. But it was just too easy for him. He just floated through Wrexham players. And it was always like that. Whenever MK Dons got in, they finished it. They finished the job. Their finishing was clinical. But there was no pace from Wrexham. There was no tempo. There was no urgency. They made it far too easy for MK Dons. Very, very poor defending. Like I said, they were 2-0 down after 10 minutes. An own goal from Owen O'Connell. And they just seemed to make it so easy for them. They seemed to switch off. Certainly in the first 10 minutes. MK Dons hit the post as well before they made it 2-0. So they started very well, MK Dons. They were sharp, they were up for it, they were alert. They had a game plan to take it to Wrexham. And Wrexham were just caught cold, they were caught sleeping. And I said it could have been much, much worse so early on. Barnett was Wrexham's best player, certainly in the first half. He did so well down that right-hand side. He had a chance himself when he cut in and just curled it wide. Elliot Lee had a chance in the first half from outside the box. He put them away last season, didn't he? When he got in that position last season, just outside the box, he normally curled it into the corner. Didn't quite happen this time. Did he take too long? Did he rush it? Probably. Could he have gone a bit earlier? You know, Wrexham had their moments in spells. They didn't create enough chances. They didn't control the ball enough. They didn't use the ball well enough. Only in bursts. They didn't really get a grip on the game. And with MK Dons being 2-0 up so early, they were allowed to just take it easy. They were allowed. They had the opportunity to drop off. They were in control. You know, they were in control. They could play their own game, which was very, very organised, very professional. I said this would be a tricky game. I said this was a tricky fixture for Wrexham. I felt Wrexham would win, particularly because they were at home. Their home form last year is so strong. They're such a good team now, Wrexham. And you expect them to win their home games. You don't expect them to drop many points at home. But MK Dons was always going to be a tricky game. They got relegated from League One last year, so they played at a very high level. The Wrexham, much higher level than Wrexham. Week in, week out. They've got the experience, but they did get relegated. So how was the form? Their forms during pre-season wasn't great. They lost a lot of friendlies. Wrexham did so well on the American tour, so it looked, you know, particularly being at home. I think the home fixture was the decider for me. No disrespect to MK Dons, I knew they'd be tricky, but were they in a bit of disarray? Where were they? We didn't quite know. The new manager had come in, Graham Alexander. They'd signed a lot of new players. They were rebuilding, but they'd still played at a very high level, and they had that experience. Wrexham didn't have that. Obviously, they were missing Paul Mullin, who's so important. Billy Waters and Sam Dalby started. I would have gone with Ollie Palmer and Dalby. Certainly Ollie Palmer to start with either Dalby or Waters. He deserved a chance, Waters. I was impressed at times with Billy Waters. He controlled the ball well. He had a nice first touch. He really did control the ball well. He moved between the flanks. He looked for the ball. He tried to create something, but he had no support. And Wrexham had no ideas going forward most of the time. They were looking for half chances. Weren't they? They weren't really creating anything of note. So there's no real support there. There was no real attacking game plan. There was no urgency. Their most aggressive player, their most attacking player in the first half was Barnett, down the right. Which was a shame. Like I said, maybe have played Ollie Palmer for his size to disrupt the defence, give the defence of MK Dons more to think about. Mind you, he didn't do much when he came on, but the game was lost then. Parkinson made a very positive, aggressive substitution after about 1 hour, after about 60 minutes. Wrexham would have been, 4-1 behind by then, would they? Let me just check. The scoreline of 60 minutes. 3-1. It would have been with not much happening. So Parky made a substitution. He brought 3 players on. 2 strikers, Bickerstaff and Ollie Palmer. He took Dolby and Billy Waters off. He brought Jordan Davis on for Cannon, I believe, at some point. But he did make a very positive substitution. Or was it Ford that came on? Ford came on, I think, with Palmer and Bickerstaff. Anyway, he made a very positive substitution. 3 players on at once to try and reignite something, to go for it, to change something. But it didn't quite work. It was MK Dons that got the 4th and made it 4-1 at that stage. So I'm not sure what Palmer could have done. It was a shame if he could have just started the game from the beginning and see if that would have made a difference. If he could have held the ball up early on and allowed Wrexham to maybe play more in the final third. They didn't retain it enough in the final third. Balls into the box. Attacks that broke down. There was no link-up play. The movement for the first... for Mendy's goal was brilliant. That's what they can do. When Mendy made it 2-1 at the end of the first half, there was some good movement on the right side, some good link-up play. A positive ball in the box. I think it was Lee, was it, perhaps, who had a shot blocked or a shot saved. And Mendy scored with a follow-up. So that was good, aggressive, fast football worked. But there wasn't enough of it. They saw a lot of the ball, Wrexham, at times, but didn't use it well enough. MK Dons wasted a lot of time. They had bookings for time wasting. They had a game plan just to slow the game down. They played by their rules, at their pace, and they controlled the game on their terms, which is what that was Wrexham's mistake. They didn't dominate the game. Being at home, the home team, certainly when you're a home team as good as Wrexham, you've got to be taking control of the game and dictating the pace and dictating the style of play and imposing your tactics and your attitude on the game. They never did that. They allowed MK Dons to take control from the beginning. They weren't switched on. They weren't positive enough. And again, it was playing catch-up. Once they were playing catch-up, they never caught up. There was no response there. They just couldn't do it. They were hit too early, too fast, too much too early, and they couldn't recover from that bad start. Andy Cannon was a strange one today. He tried it for the second goal, for MK Dons' second goal. He went in for a challenge and he came off second best. That's unlike him. There was a moment in the first half when he backed off a challenge. That's not like him. But in the second half, he did recover well at one stage and make a good challenge in the second half. He's normally a great tackler. He's a Rottweiler. He's got lots of energy, lots of passion. He was slightly off his game today, Cannon, which was strange. But Wrexham were. It was a poor Wrexham performance. Ben Foster conceding 5 goals. He had no chance with most of them. He didn't seem to be concentrating. He didn't seem to be positioned properly. And that 5th goal, he had no chance. It just rolled into the corner. A very, very poor goal to concede. That 5th goal, disgusting to see. But there was something about Foster where he wasn't switched on. But the whole Wrexham team, like I said, lacked pace, lacked attitude, and lacked the urgency. And it was a deserved win for MK Dons. Welcome to the Football League. Again, football is very unforgiving. It doesn't care about fairy tales. It doesn't care about, Hollywood stories. Football gives you what you deserve. And Wrexham got what they deserved today. Back in the Football League, playing against, a quality side, a team that's operated at a much higher level, week in, week out. They didn't control enough of the ball. Let's have a look at some of these the stats. Wrexham had more possession. They had more shots on goal. 23 shots on goal. MK Dons had 8. Wrexham had 5 on target. MK Dons 6 on target. Wrexham had 5 corners. MK Dons 4 corners. Very even there. But you have a look at the shots on target. 5 from Wrexham, 6 from MK Dons. They were more clinical with their chances. They had 8 shots on goal, 6 on target. When they got in, they made it count. Wrexham were sloppy at times. Lots of half chances, lots of attempts from strange angles. Palmer went in, didn't he? Palmer had a chance in the second half at a narrow angle. After this, the last 10-15 minutes, Wrexham were in control. There were they were pushing MK Dons back. They were creating chances. They were creating corners. They were putting MK Dons under pressure, but it wasn't enough. It was too little, too late. They just couldn't recover. And again, they were second best for 80 minutes at least. So a deserved win for MK Dons. Wrexham have to respond. It's not what we wanted. It's not what we expected. But as I said, it's back in reality. It's back in the real world. Has that American tour had a negative effect on them? It was such a huge success. Is this a come down? Are they now having a negative response to what happened in America? Has it taken the energy out of them? Has it taken the focus? Rob and Ryan were at the ground today. Hugh Jackman was with them at the ground. Lots of media, a packed stadium. They were just slow. They were just off it. They didn't rise to the occasion. MK Dons did. They deserved it. So well done, MK Dons. As I said, Wrexham have got to regroup. They've got to respond to this. They've got another tricky game in the league next Saturday, away to AFC Wimbledon. How about that? MK Dons 1 week, AFC Wimbledon the next. How is that for strange luck? But that's going to be a tricky game. They've got to pick up a win away. If they don't win away, that's going to be at least 5 points dropped in the first 2 games. And they're playing catch-up. And you don't really want to be playing catch-up. Let's not get carried away. Let's not get angry. Let's not demand people to get sacked. Let's not blame players. We can identify mistakes they made and discuss mistakes, but let's not insult players. Let's not be angry towards the players. This team has been brilliant. They are brilliant. The players are brilliant. They had a very bad day at work today. It was a very poor performance. They need to come again. But let's be sensible. Let's give them time. Let's give them room to learn, to respond, to react. They need to react. Because they can't keep dropping too many points. They don't want to be playing catch-up so early on. There's a long way to go yet. I expect Wrexham to be up there. 4 teams get promoted, 3 automatically. So Wrexham have a great chance of being in the top 4, if not the top 3. So let's not get carried away. It's the first game. It's a bad result, but it's a long way to go yet. Wrexham have to rise above it. They've signed a very good player this week, James McLean. They've got to find a replacement for Mullin, but they've got to just play as they can, certainly at home. Get the machine back running, get organised, get focused, have the right attitude and the tempo. Dominate games, control the ball, use the ball well. Don't give your opponents so much time and don't play to your opponent's strengths. And don't fall into the trap. Don't fall into the trap that the opponents set, certainly at the Racecourse. They have to be much better at the Racecourse. We need the Racecourse now to be as strong as it can be. They've lost. We have to try and get the fortress back. They have to be strong at home. That's your foundation. So get organised, get the strategy back, get the team play back, get the right attitude, and go again. They have to try and win. They have to get a win at Wimbledon now. They have to redress the balance and to respond. But they weren't good enough today. They got what they deserved. Well done, MK Dons. You know what I mean? Very professional, as I said, very capable team, well organised, had the right attitude, and were just clinical. Not spectacular, but very, very professional and very clinical. So there we have it. Wrexham have lost their first game back in the Football League. They lose at home 5-3 to MK Dons. They need to respond next week at Wimbledon. They play Wigan in the League Cup on Tuesday. You know, a big match, a fun match. I mean, nice to win that, but they've got to respond in the league. They've got to respond in the league. Wrexham lose 5-3 at home to MK Dons. Cheers, guys, and I will see you on the next video.